Assalamu alaikum. In this lesson, we will learn how to create the letter Ha. Now, Ha has several shapes to it in the Kufic script. We will start with the most simple ones and build up on those. The first shape would look something like this. It will start from here. It will fall down as a singular letter. It will have this decorative move. We are going back and then we are doing this shape. When it connects, just like what we've done to the ba and the previous letters, it will have a simple line to it. Another simple shape would be the same drop, but it will actually drop below the line. That shape we use when it's in the middle. After that, we've got a more complicated shape. It will start from here. It will sort of wiggle around in this area. It will go right then left, and then it will fall back. Now, they all can be used for the beginning of the letter. This one has another dip to it. This one, for example, if it was used by itself, it will look like this. If it was in the middle, it will just continue in a straight line without the small decorative move. Now, for this one, we are going to use the 8mm thickness, due to the fact that I will draw the three letters next to each other. Therefore, the full thickness T would equal 8. T over 2 would be 4. T over 4 would be 2. And 2T, let's say, would be 16. 2.5T, or let's say 1.5T. Would be 12. These are just numbers that I keep around for the case if I needed them. That way I could just look at them quickly. Now, as we've always done this in the set in the same way, we choose our baseline, which could be somewhere here. Let's start from here. Now the baseline is usually drawn with a pencil, so it's fine. We've agreed on taking the 8mm thickness. Therefore, we go here. This is the point. And we simply line this line up, make it darker. Now, we are going to start from this point. Alright. We will find the tip of the decoration move and move on with it. Here we've got a gap of 1 plus 3/4 of the thickness, which means 1 3/4T. And this equals 40mm. So we move 1.4 centimeters from this point, and now here we've got the first part of the hat. This part is concaved. Right here you go up 4mm, half the thickness. This is half T, and from here the same thing, 4 millimeters, and you connect them. I've got this to show you. It's a, I don't know what it's called in English, but it contains several circle diameters in them. You can use these. Let's check which one would work out for us. We can use these to draw a semicircle without the use of a compass. If you were to use a compass, all what you have to do is take this length, which means the diameter, okay, this we said it's 14, half of it would be 7. You count 7 from this point and you find your center point for the circle and you draw half the circle. Now to the right we've got a decorative move just like what we've got in the bear, which is full thickness to the right. It's right over here, and you connect those two together. Here we've got the first part of the hat, the decorative move. Now for the second part, the maximum height that we've got is 3.5 the thickness, and this height starts from the upper part of the thickness. So from here upwards we are going to measure 3.5 T. It accounts for 2.8 centimeters. Now we've got here 2 plus 2, 2.6. Therefore this would be the maximum height we are going for. The width of the letter would be governed by the height of it. Now here is where we said that we might need to work around angles. The angle in which the hair goes up is 60 degrees. If you got this line and the vertical one, from here you are going to measure 60 degrees, and that's where actually more, okay, it will be something like this. So you can either use a protractor or a triangle to do that. I prefer this one because it allows me freedom to take whatever line I want to take. Now the best thing is to start from the end point, measure 60 degrees line, which is right over here, connect it with a pencil, because we've got some work to do around here. It is quite far from the point, so this is the maximum height we are having. You don't have to connect all of it, just take the maximum height here. In order to keep the thickness itself, we need this one to be 8 millimeters also. The upper part, the part going upwards. In this case, you could just use a ruler, measure 8 millimeters close to the top, and another one close to the bottom of the letter. The more space between 2 points, the more accurate it is. And you connect those two together. Now here we've got the full thickness drawn. In order to locate the point where the letter changed direction, you need to look for the point that intersects with the 8 millimeter thickness. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's the point. Right here, the letter would fall back to its original, will fall back downwards. So this line is where the shape will actually rotate before it to make a decorative move. Now you can either have it straight, or you can move to the right. If you took this line, the line of the decorative move, starting from here, you can go 4 millimeters from here, .2 millimeters, sorry about that, and make it a little bit curved. You can go for both options. The same thing you would do for the other part. So this part would look like this. So you have either a straight line or one that goes in a curved shape. Now the upper part is also another circle that we can draw using this tool. Yeah, this looks nice. Where should you end this letter? You take 4 millimeters, half the thickness from this line, another 4 millimeters from this line. You connect them, and that's how you get this smooth. Now you can either have it straight or you can concave it for 1.5 millimeters. So let's ink this part and see how it will look like. You can either go for the concave move, the curved one, which is the decorative move. As we can see here, it has some concavement into it. The other part, the straight part, is actually shown in a different hat. You can, it's just moving straight instead of curved. This would fall back to here. So you've got two options to do the hat with. As we said, if it was connected, all what you have to do is just continue the letter by itself. Now, if it was connected, you will have to remove this decorative move. If it was singular, we will draw the singular one. Right from the last part of the top decorative move, take a straight line. It's right around here. Go back half a thickness from this line, which is about here. And this governs the end of your letter. Now, the same thing we did for the decorative move for the bat. You go down 4 millimeters. So basically, spaces between thicknesses are half the thickness. Not full the thickness. Half the thickness looks way better than full thickness. This is the limit of the letter. We are going back 8 millimeters. Which is right over here. We will take, this would be the rotational point. We will take another 4 millimeters right over here. So from here we will have a circular motion. And it will fall back to a point measured from this part of the hat. Now you go back now this is where the move will end, therefore the lower thickness would reach out to this line and stop. That's the end lower part of it. You should add the same decorative move you've got here, which is basically 1.5 the thickness. This will intersect with your letter. Yeah, exactly. And we've got here 4. So this what it would look like. And you take this back to its original point here, and you connect those together. This is also a circle move that you can use the compass to make. This is the center line we've got, because smaller ones would give you a hard time. So after we finished doing it with a pencil, I've outlined the outer edges of it, and I will color it quite quickly just to show you how it should look like. Now, as we can see here, this is the singular hat. It is one of the simplest shapes that we've got for the hat. Now here, I've missed a point, a 1mm point. Yeah, that looks better. Now, the other shape looks similar, but it's straight on, and it drops down to a distance of 1.5. So here, it's actually around here. I've added extra millimeter to this one. It should be shorter when I filled it in. And we've got our baseline here. So, similar to this one, it would look something like this. This point, and here's the 60. You connect this to this. Fall down. Come over here. We take the full thickness, 8mm, another 8mm, and we go down again. And this actually also follows this maximum height for the previous letter. So this letter would look similar to the previous one with the same decorative move, where you have to count down 8mm and see where it intersects. So it's just right over here. It needs to be concaved, and it will drop all the way down to this point. This one also needs to be concaved, and it will drop all the way down to here. And we have the same decorative move where you will move half the thickness. So this is the line we've chosen. It's just around over here, so this will go up, and you can close it. This is a different shape to it, but it has a drop to it. Let's color this one quickly. Now, as we can see here, it's in the middle. So this one you use for middle or a beginning, at the beginning of a word. This one works for middle, beginning, or end, or by itself. So we've looked into the small and easier shapes of the hat. Let's move into a more complicated shape. Now, if we recall from the previous lessons, we took a lesson in Aleph and said that Aleph governs the maximum height of letters in general. Let's take this to be our baseline, Now, the Aleph is 12 times the thickness high, which was 9.6 centimeters for the 8mm thickness. So we've got the baseline with the thickness of the text, of the script, and we've got the maximum height. So this is quite a high hat to work with. Now, in order to draw this hat, you need first to choose your point where your letter is going to be drawn. For example, this point, which would be this small angle of the letter, the inner right upper part of the hat. Now from here, you will have to move half the thickness, which is 4mm, to the right, and mark this vertical line right to the top. Here you will have to move in a curved way to draw a nice looking curvy hat. Don't be fussed about it, just freehand draw it. You can do that. You only have to keep an eye on the upper part, the top and maximum height of the letter. I've stopped it here. Let's draw a simple closing for it. So we've got this nice shape to it. As usual, you're going to take the full thickness, and in order to help yourself drawing the other side of the hat, the inner part of it, go through the line that you've just drawn. See when it intersects with a 1mm far from it, go to the left and mark that point. And now you can actually connect these points to each other to get a similar line to this one right over here. Now the top part of the hat, sorry about that, the full width of the hat itself is 31 millimeters, and 31 millimeters accounts for 3 7/8 of the dimension. So the upper part right over here, the full width of it from here to wherever it ends would be 3 7/8 of the thickness itself. Right here we've got it 31 millimeters. Which would be right over here, this line. So we take this line to be the governing upper part of the hat. Now, the upper part of this shape would close to the end line right over here. And we've got a decorative move that is, as usual, half the thickness, and it drops 1.2, like 1.5 thickness. So we go to the right half the thickness, which is around here, and we drop, yeah, exactly just like that. We've got one, it will be right over here, and we draw this part. Now for this one, let's just explain it. we dropped 12 millimeters, which is 1.5 T, and we moved from this line to the right 4 millimeters, which is half the T, the thickness we've got here. Now remember, this is a decorative move, so it will have to go back to its origin. To help you with that, actually go from here, go 4 millimeters upwards, right over here, draw a guideline. From this point, go 4 millimeters to the right, mark this point. This will show you where to close your circle. It should look something like this. Now you can take dots from this circular motion to help you recognizing where it should end, or you can use the same tool we've got here. This will actually be 2 times the thickness from here to where it intersects, like the upper part of the curve. So 2 times the thickness would be 16, sorry about that, 16 millimeters, which is just around here. So this circle would start from here, goes up all the way to this point. If you want to, you can use a prefab circle to help you to draw it. That's it. You can take it from here if you want to. It's actually also useful to use one of those ellipses shapes that we talked about earlier. Let's go back to the lower part of it and see how it would look like. This is a connected letter in the middle. Now you can drop it beneath the line. The drop, as we talked earlier, would be 1.5 the thickness. So this is the line we are going to start from. This is the lower, the baseline that we've started creating our art piece. It's fine that I've connected, it should be empty, but it's just to show you. You can either have it this way or add a nice decorative move to it. Now the end of the curvature to the right would be 16 millimeters, which is 2 times the thickness. So we are going to measure that. We said that we need to go down 1.5, which is this point. We go to the right 16 millimeters, which is right over here. And this governs the point where our hair ends. Before coloring it, let's see another shape for the hat. So we've basically taken half the thickness and moved to the right. This would be T/2. Now a different shape would actually take more than that. It will take the full thickness. Therefore, if we, for example, now in this point we've got an ellipse, would be 2 3/4 of the thickness, which is basically 2.75 T, which will equal 22 millimeters, which if we divided from the center will be 8 and 3 millimeters by 8 and 3 millimeters. So if we went to the left 11 millimeters, it will be right over here. to the right another 11 millimeters, it would be right over here. So we've got an ellipse that looks like this. This ellipse will govern the left part of the hat. Now I'll keep both shapes for you to see how they look like. We've got several options here. We follow the ellipse right over here. I will use a different color for this one. We start from here, we go upwards, and we continue with the same idea of the curvature that we've just made. It'll be the same for this part. This shape would be a hat. You start from here, you go all the way down, and you can add the decorative move that you've got in the previous hat, this one. Now this is one shape. There's another decorative move to it that you can add, and this one is actually way prettier than all of them. So we've mentioned that you move the full thickness plus 3 millimeters. Let's go back 3 millimeters and see where it intersects here. You would go similar to the move that we've just made. You would fall back until this T, the full thickness, which starts from here, which is 8 millimeters. It's right around here. Then what you would do is go back and connect. Now this move also follows, it sticks to it. This dimension would be 8 millimeters, and it intersects with this point over here. You see this line? Then you would fall back and connect it with this one. Now this also should be 8 millimeters, so this would be increased a bit. So we've got 3 shapes of the hat. We've got the simple one, we just went straight down, the first one we started with. We've got the red one, we used an ellipse for this one, and we moved to the left, then to the right. And we've got the last one that we've just seen. You go downwards, you go right, then you go left. You can also add a lower part to it to make it a singular hat. What you have to do is take this line right over here and fall back 4 millimeters from it, which would be around here, and that would be the end of the letter. This shape comes when it's by itself. If it's not, then you will have a straight line to it. And this is the singular shape of it, when the ha, jeem or kha are all by themselves in a word or as a singular letter. Now if it was connected, you will cancel this part and this part if it was in the middle. If it was at the beginning, like the word hub, you would keep this one, just cancel this one. So if you were to write the word hub, you simply continue this part. Here we've got the word hub. The only thing that you need to keep an eye on is the fact that this part is cancelled. So it should look more like this. Let's try and blend it in. So this is the word hub. We've got the ha and the ba. Now let's summarize what we've taken today. We've learned the letter ha, kha and jeem. Those 3 letters are similar to each other. We've learned 5 shapes to them. 2 of them are simple Let's rotate this one. So if this was the baseline, we've got the normal one that goes down with a maximum height. The second one that is similar, but it sort of rotates in a way. It has a small shape to it. And we've learned that this one would look like this when it's singular. Also, we've talked about the other ones that are of the height of an alif, that drop all the way down, and the other type which drops all the way down but goes a lot to the left than this one, because we've got an ellipse here. And the third one, or the fifth one, it goes all the way down, it goes right depending on the ellipse, goes back, and it continues its rotation. So it goes down, follows the same ellipse, goes back, and it goes down. And this one we can also use as a singular ha. So for a homework, choose words that have the 3 letters that we've learned so far. For example, the word that we've just written, hub. Or you can choose names, or for example, Hajj. Or Al-Hajj. You've got letters alif, ba, ta, tha, noon in the middle, not at the beginning. Now you've got Jeem, ha, and kha. You've got 8 letters to choose from. Now, to do an art piece, all what you have to keep an eye on are dimensions and page boundaries. As we've said before, take the 16mm or 2 and multiply it. So you've got 2, 4, 8, 16, 32 and above. So choose one of these. You can start with the 8, but it's somehow a bit harder due to the fact that you will go down to 2mm in some cases. 16 is a lot bigger because it will give you double the size of the letter itself. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a long one, but it was quite informative. And see you in the next lesson. Bye.